Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, your boy Virtus here, and welcome to my brand new live stream series. Now, this is just a quick recreation of the live stream that I made earlier on, where I showed you how to recreate Legends of Zelda inside of Unreal Engine 4. So for those of you that don't know much about this live stream series, every Monday for the next few weeks, I am going to be live streaming myself recreating Legends of Zelda inside of Unreal Engine 4. And if you take a quick look in the scene at the moment, you will be able to see exactly what we are creating. So at the moment you can see I've got my Link character, and inside of this I can move left, I can move right, and what I can also do is I can swing my sword and I can attack the enemies, and what I can also do is use my shield to block enemy attacks as well. It's really cool and really straightforward. Also in the top left hand corner you can see I've got my energy and I have also got my health, and I can pick that up using the little pickup items that I've created. And also in the bottom left we've got our gems. There is a lot to create and it is going to take a couple of hours, and we're going to be breaking this down into a few 1 hour live stream videos. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into it and create this for ourselves. Now what I do need to mention is that there is some project files that you are going to need, and the links for all of those are in the description down below. For those of you that are supporters on Patreon, you are actually able to download the whole completed project inside of Unreal Engine 4, so you can skip the tutorials and go straight to using this as a foundation for your game. If you want to access that, once again, just go ahead and unlock that reward on Patreon. So now that we've done that and we've talked about all that good stuff, what we're going to do is we are simply going to open up the Epic Games launcher and create a new project. So having said that, I'm going to close the one that I've got there at the moment, and then with this I am just going to launch the engine, any version that you want, it's entirely up to you, and then just give it a couple of seconds to load up. Now this can take a couple of minutes depending on the computer and the specifications that you've got, so I'm just going to take a moment to show you the project files that you should have. So if you've downloaded the project files as they are linked in the description, you should have a Zelda files folder, and then within here you should have a folder for animations, HUD assets, sound effects, and then a bunch of textures and a fully rigged character as well. And all of this we are going to be importing into the engine one by one. So if the engine's loaded up already for you, I'm just going to close the engine that I had there just so it's a bit quicker. We can create that new project. So at the moment it's on 90%, it's getting there, and 3, 2, 1, and we're good. So now that we've got this open, let's just go ahead and create a new project. Now for me, I am going to use the third person template as it gives us the basic controls for our character, but most importantly, it also gives us a rear view camera that you're able to rotate around just using your mouse, and you can also move backwards, forwards, left and right using the W, A, S and D keys, which is perfect. So with this, we're going to leave the target to desktop and console on maximum quality with the starter content, and then the name of this, I'm going to call this Zelda live project. And then once I'm done that, I'm just going to go ahead and press create project, and then just wait for this to load up. Once it's loaded up, from there what we can do is start importing all of this content into the engine, and sort of from there we can just move on and start creating our Link character. So give it a couple of minutes and we will be good to go. Now what I do want to mention is that as part of this series we are going to be using a couple of assets from the Unreal Engine 4 marketplace. So while this is loading up, it might be a good time to go ahead and download those and add them to the project that you've just created. Now the ones that I am after is the Infinity Blade Effects Pack and also the open world demo collection to give us a little bit of foliage. So if you want to find that, just inside of your Epic Games launcher, go to the marketplace, give it a couple of seconds to load up, and then in the top right hand corner where it says search content, we are going to be looking for first things first, Infinity Blade effects. And then with this, just go ahead and click it, and then if you haven't already, just download it and add it to your project. So the project that we just created has got the name Zelda Live Project, so add that to your project. Give it a couple of seconds, and then we're also after the open world demo collection as well. Type that in the top right, and then with this, just click it and do the same thing, just add it to your Zelda Live project. And by now, it should have opened up your project and you should be ready to work with this. So the first thing that I'm going to do then is I am going to quickly take a moment to explore my folders that I've got. So the main one, and probably the most important, is going to be our blueprints folder. Inside of here, we've got the most important part of this, which is our third person character. If I double click on this, I can open it up and see all of the input stuff sort of set out in our blueprints. But if I go to the viewport, I can see both the character and the camera. And what you'll notice, the camera is currently this robot. We're going to be replacing that entirely in this video. But the camera itself, it's not very like the Zelda games. It's right behind the character and it's not really offset. So what I'm going to do is on Google, if I just go onto Google real quick, if I go ahead and type in Legends of Zelda gameplay and go to Google Images, you should be able to get a rough idea of what the camera is going to look like. It is quite a little bit more back, and in some cases it's also slightly offset. Now I'm going to keep it centered, but I do need to move it up because at the moment it's quite low. So what I'm going to do is just move this back just a little bit and move it up. And then if I press compile in the top left, close this and press play, give it a couple of seconds, we should be able to see what that looks like. So give it a second. Sometimes the first time you do press play, it will be a little bit slower than usual. It is absolutely nothing to worry about. So you can see here now we've got a character that can move left, right, forwards and backwards, but our camera is looking similar to what we are after. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and dive in and start importing the character, the animations, the textures, and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to go in my content browser to my main content folder. Inside of here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new folder with the name Zelda. And then in the little tree on the left hand side, I'm just going to right click this and press set color, and I'm going to change this to a blue so I can easily find this later on. Within this, I'm going to create a new folder for the mesh. I'm going to open this up, and then going back to my Zelda files folder, I'm going to find my link character rigged, and then simply drag and drop this into place. And then once the settings come up, I'm going to leave all of these to default exactly how they are at the moment, and then just press import all, and this is going to import my character for me. And if you give it a couple of seconds, we should be able to see this, and then we can start working with it. So you'll notice here it says no smoothing group information found. That is nothing for you guys to worry about. You'll notice if we open it up, it already looks really smooth and really nice already, so there is absolutely nothing for us to worry about. It's just an issue with the way that it was exported. It's not going to cause you any issues, and if you wanted to, you can even use your own model and your own animations. It's entirely up to you. But what you should have is a character that looks a bit like this, or if not, completely white. And the reason why it's white at the moment is because it's got no textures and no materials on here either. So you wouldn't actually be able to have any color. It's just going to be completely plain. So having said that, within my mesh folder, I am going to right click in the content browser and add a new folder with the name textures. And then I'm going to open this up, go back to my Zelda files, and all of these files that say Targa, these are essentially our texture files. I'm going to select all of these just by pressing Control and then clicking each one, and then I'm going to drag, drop, and import them into our content browser, and you'll notice some of them are normal maps and some of them are diffuse. So what I need to do with these then is I actually need to make some materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Iris 2 texture, right click it and create a material, leave the name to default, do the same thing for link 1, leave the name to default, link 2, create material, and lastly link 3 as well. Now start off by opening up link 3, and what I'm going to do inside of here is just quickly add in our normal map. So not that one, so you want to open the material rather, give it a couple of seconds, and then select link 3 underscore normal, and then with this press T and then left click, and that will add the texture sample with the texture that you've got selected. And you'll notice now it's going to add a little bit more depth to our material that we've got here. This has already been made for us. Now while we're on the subject of this, I just wanted to quickly mention this character was not made by me, and the animations were generated through Mixamo. The bit that I have done myself is all of the blueprints and also the heads up display stuff. That is all me. So moving on from here, I'm going to open up link 2 underscore map, select link 2 normal map, and then just hold down T and left click and hook it up to my normal. And this normal map, the texture type, is just going to add that additional layer of depth. Moving on, I'm going to do the same thing for link 1 map. Move this to the side, select the link 1 normal map, hold down T and then left click to bring that in there. I'm just going to press apply, and then from here close it up, and then just do the last one that I really want to be concerned with, which is my face. Now I haven't made a material for that, so I'm just going to do it, open it up, and then in my content browser select face underscore normal, hold down T, left click to bring in that texture sample, and from there you just need to hook it up. So now then, we've got some colors and we've got some diffuse maps and some normal maps, but now we actually need to apply this to my character that we just imported. So go back to your mesh folder in your content browser, go to link character rigged, and then you'll notice on the left hand side under asset details we have all of these material slots. We need to fill these with the new materials that we have just created. Now as for knowing which ones are which, the way we're going to do this is just by taking a look at an image of these slots from the completed project that I made already. So we've just got to reference that way because I've already experimented and found that out. And if you guys run into some issues where you're not too sure what to do, it's definitely worth becoming a Patreon, and from there just, you know, taking a look at the completed version and see where your mistakes are. Also, might also be worth taking a look at our Discord server. You can ask any kind of question you want in there. There is over 1,000 people in there now, so if you wanted to, you can ask a question related to my tutorials, you can ask questions related to anything Unreal Engine 4. They're all game developers within here. So this is what our material slots should look like. So it should be it should just look like this. So what I'm going to do is just, with this, the top one should just be link 1 matte, and then the second one should be iris 2. So iris 2 matte, and you'll notice suddenly we've got some color on the eyes. It might not come up straight away, but once it compiles the shaders, that will come up. And then the third one, element 2 rather, should be face matte, and you can see we've got the color of the eyes there. So this one should be face matte, and it's going to go dark for a second, and then it's going to bring some life into it, and then it should be link 1, link 1, link 1, and then link 2. So let's do that. So link 1, chose the wrong one there, so link 1, and also link 1, and also link 1. And it should look a little bit like this, and you can see our character is really starting to come to life. And then elements 6 and 7 should be link 2, and the same goes for the last one, link, scroll down, find number 2, and with that then you should have a character that looks exactly like Link from the Legends of Zelda. So with this, what we need to do now then is find a way to take this character, use the animations, and then bring it to life inside of the game engine, getting it to move. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into my third person blueprints folder, go to blueprints, and then with this I'm going to open up my third person character, and I'm going to go to my viewport, click this robot looking dude, and in the details panel I'm going to go to skeletal mesh and just change this to link underscore rigged, and what you should have is your little mini Link dude looking like that. And I'm just going to scale him up so he fits and looks nice and big in this little capsule. If I compile this and press play, you'll notice we should have a character that is able to move around left, right, backwards and forwards, but currently isn't moving. And the reason why he's not moving is because he doesn't have an animation blueprint, and he's got no animations tied to it, so it just doesn't know what to do with itself. So it's simply just gonna stand there in the regular T pose until it's, told to do otherwise. So having said that, we need to import those animations, and then we also need to tie some animations to the character. So as far as importing those animations go, it's really simple. Inside of your main folder for Zelda files, you've got a folder that says animations. Double click this to open it up, and then inside of here you should have all of these asset files. Press Ctrl A to select all of them, Ctrl C to copy them, and then if you go to My Documents, Unreal Projects, and then open up the Zelda livestream, go to Content, Zelda, and then make a new folder inside of there called Animations, and press Ctrl V to paste it in there, it is going to bring it into Unreal Engine 4 for you. That is how you import a UAsset file. So let's see if we can find this. So if we refresh this, which I'm not too sure how to do 100%, but I'm going to do it. So content, and then if we look at it, it was Zelda, and then in here. Now I've just pasted it into the wrong one, so ignore the Zelda livestream project, it's Zelda Live Project. If you ever have any doubt about the folder that you're putting it into, just check the project name in the top right here, and then do it again. So content, and then just go to Zelda, and inside of here create a new folder with the name animations. Open this up and press Ctrl V to paste it in. And what you'll notice down here in your content browser, it has updated that and said we've now got this animation folder. And you'll notice we have got all of these animations for the character. So what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to retarget some of these to work with our character. It's not going to be an issue, and it's really straightforward to do, but we will do it as and when we need these animations. So what I'm going to do is inside of my mesh folder is I'm going to create what is known as an animation blueprint. And within this animation blueprint, this is where we are going to be tying the animations to the functions of the player, so for movement, idling, and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to take a moment. Inside of my mesh, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to animations and create an animation blueprint. It's going to ask you which type of parent class do you want to use. Just leave that blank, and then for the target skeleton, select link underscore character underscore rigged underscore skeleton and press OK. Give this the name link underscore and then anim BP. And then with this, open it up, and this is where we are going to get cracking. And then inside of here, what we're going to do is we need to create a state machine. So inside of here, we are just going to create a new state machine, right click it, and we're just going to give this the name link state machine. And then from here, we're just going to hook this up to the result. So this state machine is just going to allow us to add a variety of states for our character, and we're going to be able to control those ourselves. So if I open this up, you'll notice if I drag out from entry, I can add a state, and the first state that we're going to have is for idle. Drag this out again, and the next state that we're going to have is walk and run, and you'd have your different states inside of here for things like walking, running, idle, jumping, crouching, falling, all of that good stuff. The two that I want to be concerned about in this video is just idle and then walk and run. So with this, what I'm going to do now then is open up my idle, and you'll notice it's going to ask me for an animation. The animation that it needs in here should be our idle animation, so we need to find that. So I'm going to go to my animations folder in my content browser and type in idle, and the one that I'm after is within here, and the one that I want is sword and shield underscore idle. So I'm going to rename this to simply link underscore idle, and then I'm going to double click to open it up, and it's going to ask me, would you like to retarget this? Would you like to choose a new skeleton? I'm going to press yes, go to link underscore character rigged, and simply retarget this. And then you'll notice we have our link character idling, and it looks good. And if I wanted to, I can then go to my mesh, go to my anim BP, and then in my asset browser in the bottom right, I can grab link underscore idle and just hook this up to the final animation pose for our idle state. Hit compile, and you're going to notice he's now going to stand there and idle, and that's good. So if I open up my blueprints, my third person character, go to my viewport and select my character, underneath the anim class, I can now set this to my animation blueprint that I've just created, and suddenly you will notice that my character has sprung to life and he's got a little bit of movement. I'm going to scale him up, hit compile, and now if I press play, you can notice he's going to stand there, he's going to move his head, left and right, and he's going to move his arms, and it's just going to give him a bit of motion. He's not going to be standing there in the T pose anymore. So with this, what I'm going to do now then is I need to focus on the walking and the running, because at the moment when I walk forwards, or try to rather, it's just going to slide. There's no animations. So what I need to do is inside of my animations folder in the tree, I'm going to type in walk, and the one that I'm after is this one here, sword and shield walk in place. I'm going to right click this, and with this I'm going to call it link underscore walk, and then I'm going to double click it to open it up, retarget it to my link skeleton, and you can see the character walking. What I'm also going to look for is run in place, press yes, and then just put my running animation in here, and you can see I've retargeted it and it looks good. So what I need to do now then is find a way with my blueprints to link that to the speed and the direction of the player, and the way we're going to do this is by using a blend space. So having said that, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to animation, and I'm going to create a blend space, and I'm going to target this to my link character and give it the name link underscore, actually sorry, let's just call it walk underscore BS. BS standing for blend space and not, you know, other stuff. So what this is going to allow us to do is on this graph at the bottom here, I'm going to be able to link this, see what I did? No, okay. I'm going to be able to link this on a graph to some values. So what I could do is have direction and speed on here, and then plot the different animations so it knows which way to go. So what I'm going to do on my axis settings, I'm going to set the name for the top one to direction, and then on the vertical, I'm going to have this to speed. And you'll notice now on my graph, we got speed going up and direction going left and right, and I can tell the character to play a different animation based on that information. So for the speed, the minimum and maximum needs to be 0 and 600, and then for direction, minus 180 and 180, and then from here we need to put our run, which is the one that we've used already but obviously haven't renamed, at the top at 600, and then our walk in the middle, and then our idle at the bottom. So at 0 speed it's just idling, at 300 it's walking, and then at 600 it's running. That's exactly what I need it to do. And then with my interpolation time, I need to change these to 1, and basically what this is going to do is basically smooth the transition between these. I'm going to save this, and now I need to link this up into my animation blueprint. So go back to your main state machine, go to walk and run, and with this, instead of dropping in an animation, we're going to get this blend space that we just created and hook it up just like that. So what we're going to do now then is I am going to need to feed in some information. So the information that we need for this is direction and speed. And the way we're going to get this is by using our event graph to get that information from the character blueprint itself. So what I'm going to do is, first things first, from event blueprint update animation, type in cast to third person character. For the object, set this to get player character, because that's what we're trying to reference. The third person character, the reason why we're casting to this in particular is because this is what stores all the direction information, the speed information. So with this, I'm going to right click and use the node, the blueprint node, calculate direction to get the direction of my player, so the return value can set or promote to a variable with the name direction. So let's just go ahead and give it the information it needs. So it needs velocity and base rotation. So as third person character, get velocity, and we're going to hook this up, and then as third person character, get the rotation. So get rotation, or get actor rotation is the one that we're after, and hook it up just like that. And also for speed, velocity is pretty much the same thing. So what I'm going to do is drag this out and put it into a vector length squared. And then with this, I'm going to promote this to a variable with the name speed. Hook this up just like that. And now we've got our direction and our speed variables. So we can go back to our walk run state, and we can just put direction into here, speed into here, and we're good to go. Now you'll notice at the bottom in the compiler results, it's going to say idle to walk run will never be taken, because we haven't set up any transitional rules. So if we go back to our link state machine, you'll notice we got this little button here. If we press this, we can define when it needs to go from the idle state to the walk and run state, and you can see that at the top. And the only time I want it to do that is with my speed, is if the speed, so float, is greater than another float with the speed 10, that is when we want it to walk. So we only want it to walk if the speed is above 10. And then for coming back, if I drag from walk and run to idle, and then open this up, I need to do the opposite. So get my speed, and then with this, float less than 10, and hook this up. So compile this, press play, and now with our character, you're going to notice if I walk forwards, it's going to walk, and if I run forwards, it's going to do what I need it to do. But for me, what you can see you have got now is a fully playable Link character from the Legends of Zelda. Anyway guys, I am going to end off this video and the live stream here. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Make sure you tune in next week, where we are going to be continuing to work on this character. So make sure, if you want the completed project files, check out my Patreon. If you have any questions, anything like that, just check out our Discord server. Once again guys, thanks for watching, stay awesome, keep creating. Your boy Virtus, signing out. This video was made possible by my supporters on Patreon. If you want more videos like this, check out my Patreon page using the link in the description. To stay up to date on new releases, make sure you follow us on social media.